All right, 6 o'clock, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Both Luke and Rondi are gone, they're chaperoning some kids at the Target Center, but we got 4 of us, so we're gonna move on. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got no additions to the agenda. Jeff, you got anything?
Nope.
No one else has anything? I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda as shown.
I will make a motion.
I'll second.
Pete on the motion, Jolynn on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no scheduled presenters tonight. We'll move on into public input. If anyone has anything to speak to the board, I will open up public input. If it is something to do with the calendar, we will have a separate public input for that. Would anyone like to speak to the board? Then we will close public input. Move on to committee reports. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to share for the cause?
I have no new committee news, but we were at MSBA, took a little bit on about the Minnesota paid leave, which seems very cumbersome, so I'm like, kudos to Lori for all that she does. It's a lot to take in. And then I did another one about AI, which was very interesting on how some people are handling things, and some of the upcoming things that are happening with the smartwatches, glasses, besides just the cell phones. So a lot of those coming up, so.
Yeah, for MSBA, I don't have any committee reports either per se, but at MSBA, I went to the wraparound childcare. We had a class on that actually, which was interesting, ironically, that we are dabbling in that right now, that conversation as well. For the school that was hosting that one, they talked about how it helped increase their enrollment, right? It brought people in, because it was childcare and it was rolling right back into school, right? So it brought folks into the community for that purpose and kept them there. They talked about how the students helped staff it, but they had it formulated in a manner that those students could also get credits with work and college because they were working in this type of a child care setting. So it was beneficial for their students to be staff as well, their older kids. They talked about how grants and federal funding were options depending on how we went about things, so that was kind of awesome to hear. And they also mentioned that some local businesses were helping financially support some things as well if they got priority in getting their kids into a spot, kind of thing. Like, so if local companies in the area were given priority over others, they helped financially. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. The other one that I went to was a career pathway programming in a school system. And by that, they just utilized their already in place classes and curriculum and just organized it in a manner when you looked at it as this would be a healthcare field, this would be a industrial field, this would be this, this, and this, and just how they organized it, and they started it at as young as a middle school level to help guide kids and pointing them in a direction. Here, if you want to dabble here for a little while. And then there was stuff in there too with a little bit of shadowing, or they would have, meet and greets, and somebody would hang out with them for, a couple hours or so, and somebody would walk them through, this is what an entire day looks like as a nurse. This is what my whole day looks like. Let me walk you through this. But it was just interesting. It wasn't, obviously they added other curriculum to it, some, but they utilized their current and just organized it in the manner. And there was programming to help them do that. I think Zello is what it was. I think is what it was called. And I just thought that was really interesting. And then lots of college credits were involved in that as well. It's something that I guess I'm just really interested in and making sure helping our kids that next step, right? Because that's hard. That's hard to make that decision. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? And I just remember what that was like, and that was just hard. And I think anything that we can do to help our kids go that direction, guide them, point them in any type of direction, I think is helpful. But, yeah, I like that one, that was a good one.
All right, I'm not gonna talk nearly as much as, I always like to go to Minnesota State High School League, kind of get updates on how things are going. Girls wrestling really taking off, and expanding, same with boys volleyball. A lot of discussion about some Title IX stuff too, so, which I'm not gonna get into it, but it's just interesting to hear some dialogue with, other people with that. And then the other one was superintendent's contract, so that was a fun one. So, there again, I won't dive too deep into that, but I just want to say on facility committee, we had a really short meeting. What was that, about 2.5 hours roughly? Okay. The main object is something that's going to be on an action item on here, so we'll discuss more about that then. Also talking more about bus garage and office there. Looking at different things on how we can possibly go forward with that. Probably sounding, it's unrealistic for it to be looking at doing something for that this summer, but for the following summer, we can try to plan for that to see what works out there. Else besides that, possibly talked about adding some bleachers on the other wall in field house. But majority of the conversation kind of revolved around what was on the action item for tonight, so we'll discuss that later. So, no one else has anything else, then we will move on to consideration to approve the finance report. Josh?
Sure. Kind of cash flow worksheet here. If you were kind of paying attention from the last cash flow worksheet, the amount of cash is significantly down, and it is for the debt service payments that went out. The mortgage payments essentially for the district fieldhouse auditorium CTE project. Those types of first items. So about $1.9 million went out for the debt service payments, which were due at the end of January. So. The good thing is, we're still staying real positive for our cash through the rest of the fiscal year. This report goes through the middle of April. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot of excitement in there other than the normal day-to-day operation of the district, payroll taxes, payroll itself, influx of cash for ideas, which are the 15th and 30th payments into the district. The one thing kind of to note, there still is a small section of payment due for the roof section. Once that is all finally done and finalized, we end up having that final payment go to the retainage on that project. So there's still about $70,000 to go out on that project. I just keep pushing it down the list on the cash flow until we finally get to that date that everything is finally checked off and signed off on. If there are any questions, I can answer.
Any questions for Josh?
No.
If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the finance report.
I'll make a motion.
Jody on the motion.
I will second.
Pete on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted under one motion. In the event a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. Jeff, can you read the resolution of acceptance to gifts, please?
Yes, this month we received $1,000 from the Cannon Falls Fire Department for the robotics team. We received $1,000 from the American Legion for the robotics team. We received $3,000 from the VFW for the girls soccer program, $4,000 from the VFW for the Cannon Falls High School band, $5,000 from the VFW for the robotics team, $3,200 from the River Country Co-op FFA, $12,000 from the VFW for a digital display down by the gym, $20,000 from the Donald W. and Margaret M. Anderson Foundation, Steve Rudicelli, for the middle school math curriculum, $750 from the Hernke Heating and Cooling for robotics, $23,079 from the CF Diamond Club for baseball, $1,000 from the American Legion for music activity account, $20 from Marilyn Phelps for the music activity account, $114.95 from the Ed Foundation for Lego sets for 11th and 12th graders for Mrs. Schwartz, $1,991.63 from the Ed Foundation for a book challenge for 3rd through 5th graders, Mrs. Schleep, and $15,000 for the Ed Foundation for the Eagle Bluff 4th grade, all 4th grade teachers on the request. So thank you all to our generous donators.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's
It's
pretty
like-
good. Thank you.
Super fortunate.
I'd say very generous.
Very generous,
Those are some big
seriously.
numbers
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
time, so. From the VFW, I guess,
Mhm.
keep buying those pull tabs. One note I just wanted to make on the personal items, Stephen Clark is retiring. We don't quite know the exact number of years, but we know it's up in the 20s, but he's also taught at other districts as well. So, but he's put in a lot of time here, and so you're told that this is probably his final?
Yes.
Okay. So he's come back and helped us out quite a few times, so thank you, Mr. Clark. So with that, I'd look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Jolyn on the motion,
I'll second.
Jody on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administrative board reports. We don't have our student rep here tonight, so we'll move on to elementary. Mr. Strauss, anything you'd like to add?
No, I sent one in at the last meeting, and I got nothing really to add from that, because, gosh, based on school days ago, that wasn't very long ago, with the bowl days and snow days mixed in. Obviously with the snow or cold, there's been, the walk to and from school for the kids and staff has been cold. Just a shout out to, the kids most of all, for some of the young ones being able to handle that, but then staff being able to do that. Any staff that help out front with our morning arrival and dismissal. This morning was cold out there for 25 minutes.
Right.
And then, I will say though, I think I'd take that more than being a classroom teacher and doing indoor recess all these days. So those teachers, the classroom teachers too, just a shout out to them for handling that, because that's organized chaos, I guess. But they do well with it. We haven't had a ton of issues with that. So it's just, that's caused, the snow and the cold has caused some issues there. Were you gonna, I have one thing to add, but it's more of a positive thing. Are you gonna do an around the horn thing later?
Yeah.
I'll save it for that then.
All right.
We had the silent auction coming up, right?
Yep, silent auction's coming up, all the PTO stuff. I guess, we won't have another meeting before then, will we? So yeah, that's all coming up February, whatever it is.
Next week.
Is it sixth already?
Yeah, next Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, already.
yep. And I'll be at next week at the Elementary School Principals Association Institute, Wednesday through Friday.
Great. Mr. Hodges, you got anything to add?
Yeah, a couple things from my last report. Big one is Friday, February 10th for grades 6 through 12 will be a bold day.
April 10th?
Did I say February?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I meant April. I'm pretty sure in everything I put out to parents, I said April, so pretty sure.
You did, it was good.
But we are hosting the Minnesota State High School League Solo and Ensemble Contest and on April 10th. And due to the number of rooms that they need for that, we can't have school and have that at the same time. So we're 6 through 12 will have a bold day. That's also a PLC day for that. The other thing is a technology-related thing. You probably saw that our website changed on Friday of last week, so that's what our new look will be. We're going to continue to tweak and improve that as we go, but that's kind of the general layout of things. And if you've got any suggestions or any improvements or see anything that doesn't look right, like maybe the high school principal put the wrong date on something, let me know.
Thanks.
Thank you. Reed submitted his report. He is not here. Mr. Johnson, anything you want to add?
Lots of snow and ice lately, so we've been pretty busy at that, and then plus with all the cold, it comes a lot of breakdowns, so me and Bruce have been pretty busy trying to keep everything afloat around here. Not literally afloat, because that almost happened, but trying to keep it above water, how about that? Yeah, so we got a lot of projects on the loom here for the possible next year, fiscal year. So I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around that. So we got some good things for the district coming. A lot of things in need. One of the fix-it problems was one of those items, the bus garage. With all this cold, it's just not made for it down there. It's got neglected for so many years, so we look forward to improving that for our bus drivers, because they are very needed in this community as well, and they kind of get looked past a lot, I think. So it's gonna be good to get that project done, started, whatever ends up happening, but they need it, school needs it. Other than that, it's a lot of cleaning in the hallways and getting that salt off that we've been spreading outside, so, yeah, it's fun.
Isn't that funny, when you try to take care of one problem, it leads to another problem?
Yep.
Soups report, Jeff.
Not a whole lot, other than the fact I was gonna remind you if Tim didn't about April 10th. Yeah, just trying to make through and navigate the ice and the snow and cold weather that we've had here recently. Unless you guys have any questions, the rest of my report's just on the agenda items there.
Any questions for Jeff? If not, we will move on to action items. Got no old business, we'll move on to new business. The public hearing and comment opportunity number 3 for the proposed calendar changes for 26-27 and 27-28. Jeff, would you like to go over what those potential changes were looking like?
Yes. So, for the proposed 2-week early start for the public hearing here. Next year is the latest that Labor Day will be, and therefore school would be slated to start on September 8th. So we are proposing to have that start on August 24th. And, which would be a 2-week early start. And obviously, as you go through the calendar, you see some natural breaks, especially around the quarter breaks, and most significantly at the semester break, because we would end the semester right at Christmas, and then kids coming back would have a fresh start to the new semester. Unlike right now with this schedule, the kids come back for maybe a couple weeks, and then they take finals, and then we start the new semester then. In listening to our staff and some of the conversation around the board at the time, we incorporated a spring break starting each of those calendar years for the next 2 years. And the reason why we're gonna have a consistent break here is because a lot of our groups just happen to be gone during that week, so we felt that would be a good time to have a consistent spring break. And then graduation ends up being on Friday, May 21st, right here with the students getting out at the last part of May. And then obviously all of June and all of July.
And so the break for third quarter, that falls right on the spring break, correct? That was also kind of a natural break for that.
Yep. And then, yeah, students would come back on the 29th to start fourth quarter.
So I've had a few people just kind of reach out to me, like wondering why we can't take away some other days and, you know, shorten it up in a different way. And I guess I kind of know the answer to my question, but it's a lot easier to take away days on the second semester than it is the first semester, correct? And then all of a sudden it really becomes unbalanced. Because
Right.
right now it's unbalanced a little bit how it is. Does that affect the curriculum much?
Well, with year-long classes, and Tim can maybe speak up here a little bit, because it mainly affects the middle school, high school, if it's gonna affect anybody. The elementary obviously just kinda keeps going with how they're going on. There really isn't a changeover of different classes. Most of the high school classes are year-long ones, but we do have some semester classes, and I don't know if you wanna speak to that, Tim.
Yeah, so it's, semester-long high school electives are the ones who are impacted most by that balance, or that imbalance in the number of days in first and second semester. There is just not a way, given the number of days that we have off during first semester though, to make those balanced and to have those breaks kinda hit those natural,
Sure.
you know, natural times. So, I think what does that look like? It's like 7 or 8 days, I think, is the difference between first and second semester. We've been through this, we went through this a few years ago,
Mhm.
and, again, like Jeff said, the majority of our core classes are year-long classes, even though they may change, kids may change section. That really doesn't impact, you know, curriculum too much. That might shift some curriculum that would normally be done during first semester to second semester, or vice versa. But they're not really missing, they're not gonna miss any curriculum. So, and where, you know, in the grand scheme of things, where those breaks come in curriculum is really kind of arbitrary anyway. They don't really matter. So it's really those semester-long electives. So it would be art courses, our business courses, our career tech ed courses are the ones that are impacted by that difference in number of days. And I think those teachers are all flexible enough to be able to make things work. So we've had those conversations.
And quite frankly, if you look at the number of snow days we've had and ice days,
Yeah.
they're more than likely gonna happen that January, February, March
Mhm.
timeframe anyway, where you have more days to play with.
Right.
Correct.
With that, so if second semester's a little bit longer, it's not gonna.
Well, then that kinda leads to my other question, so I've had a few people reach out too. So we have, what, 174 days set on here? So the state requires us to have 165, correct?
Yes.
So then what is the main reasoning of why having 174?
I'm guessing that that's probably been negotiated over the time
Okay.
of trying to make sure that we have enough days to get all the curriculum in that we need to. And obviously, contracts are based on 174 and
Sure.
everything else, so.
Do we have any data on other schools, what they're doing in that area? Most right in
Most are right on 174.
174?
It's either 174, 173, or 175. It's usually right in that area.
And you said that's the curriculum that's driving those extra 10
Contracts.
days in contracts?
Well, you got contracts that are based, I mean, it's been based on that forever.
Okay.
And then, I was gonna say something else to that. Snow days, you
Sure.
know, that get built in.
And who helps, so who, I know we talked about a calendar committee, who's actually made up on the calendar committee?
We have administrators and staff
Okay.
that are on it.
I know you polled people in the past, parents in the past. Did any get polled there?
We did not poll anybody, the teachers did some internal polling, I believe, in each building.
Okay.
We did not poll, parents this time. It was about, from what I remember, a 55-45 split
Mhm.
last time, and I recommended at that time, not to move forward with it, but that was before, I believe, we actually went through that full year of the early start. And then, I'd be curious to see what parents are feeling about it like that now, if they remember what it felt like to get out early,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
It
'cause
was nice out.
the majority of staff wanted it back then, before we did then.
Yep.
But you're correct, it was just a hair of parents were like, meh, but correct, afterwards, who knows?
Right.
Yep.
I have one other question. So is this reviewed every 2 years, and that's why we're doing it now?
We set our calendars for every 2 years.
And reevaluated then?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, the application, if we do decide to go with an early start, the application requires 3 years worth of calendars.
Okay.
And so we'd have to move or add on another calendar. That would be similar to previous to.
Can you show us, can you pull up what the calendar would be, what it would look like if we were starting right after Labor Day.
Yes.
And while you're pulling that up, is there consideration for, is it the Fast Bridge testing, so the kids come back for 2 weeks? I thought there was an elementary school play, so it's a more of a natural break for what these calendars are reflective of. Am I
Like,
thinking that correctly?
The break, so Fast Bridge, the window, we try to keep the window the same as the GCED window. That's what kind of drives some of the local Fast Bridge testing. And their window generally is the first 3 weeks of September.
Okay.
September. As far as the other breaks, those breaks don't really line up on that calendar for anything. Like trimester breaks don't line up with the natural break, but like Jeff had said, it doesn't matter as much in the elementary.
Got it. Okay.
Nobody's switching sections, there aren't trimester or semester grades that matter towards credits or graduation or anything like that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
One of the things that, with the 2-week early start, it would allow all of us to get more curriculum in before we take the statewide MCA tests. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
if that's, maybe that's.
I think, yeah, that's maybe what, I know last one of the meetings, we talked about some advantage to starting early
Correct,
because of
yeah.
the testing.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, we would have 2 more weeks of curriculum before we took the statewide tests.
And even like the end
Yeah,
of semester
got it.
testing, like you talked about, right? Like they leave for Christmas break, and then they're back, and then a couple days later, you're starting to test. Right, for your
Correct.
end of semester,
Okay.
yeah, yep.
Understood.
Here is the calendar for the post-Labor Day start, so we would begin on September 8th. And then some of the breaks would happen almost mid-November for first quarter. And then Christmas would happen, and then you would have the end of the semester here on the 22nd of January. February would be wide open, March with spring break built in. And then probably more importantly, graduation would be on June 4th, I believe.
Yep. That's graduation in the last day of school for students, so that is the Friday after Memorial Day, which is when we have traditionally done graduation, is that Friday, but because of how late everything is, it's June 4th.
Right.
This calendar obviously kind of lines up a little bit more with how things are currently functioning. Close.
Yeah.
With the addition of a spring
Yeah,
break?
yeah.
But Memorial Day is so late in this calendar
Yeah,
also,
yeah,
that you're
yeah.
pushing it into June.
For sure. Would, if we didn't do the early start and the earlier out, would we still want to move forward with a every year spring break, or would that not work?
Well, if you take out the spring break and you bump up this date to the Friday before Memorial Day for graduation
Mhm.
and last day,
Yeah.
so.
Mm.
Or no, it'd be the day before that, because there's 4 days that week.
Yeah, because Memorial Day is one.
Yeah.
Well, there's a-
That just puts a lot of people in a weird situation for graduation, if they have graduates and stuff too,
Right.
if having a Memorial Day
Mhm.
weekend.
And a lot of discussion happened around spring break with, if you look at the time, if you take this out here, there really isn't any breaks happening from January when you come back through whenever Easter is that year. I'm guessing it's
Yeah.
probably March here. And some years April is where Easter happens at as well.
For sure, yeah.
There may be a mistake in February. I think we usually have President's Day off, and it's
Mhm.
not on that, so I
On
think
one of
that would be
those
the
Mondays, yeah.
15th.
Yeah.
So that would be the day off,
The
the day
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, and staff and the students need that
Just a little.
break away from each other, so to speak. The legislature did authorize schools to start September 1st the next 2 years because of this late start
Mhm.
cycle. We did put together a September 1st start calendar as well. just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Everything's pretty much the same. The quarter break here is in the first week of November instead of the second week. Semester is a little bit week earlier, but still after Christmas.
It's just that the graduation ends up being on that Memorial.
Really, it's the
Yeah, that's-
graduation.
That's the tough one right there, is the 28th, the Friday of Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, obviously not ideal to have a graduation ceremony on a holiday weekend when a lot of people do like to travel, so.
Yeah, our
Sure.
one big concern we have is, you know, we have our choir and band perform that weekend
Mhm.
too, and that would be
Yeah.
dicey, especially because the 28th is the last day of school on that calendar for everybody, so.
Mhm.
So it's really no incentive for them to come back.
Do you have anybody here that wants to speak?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask
Oh.
that right now. So right now, we will open this up for public comment. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, you're more than welcome to. Please state your name before you start.
I'd like to speak. My name is Katie Lindahl. I'm a parent in the community. I have a 3rd grade daughter and a 4th grade son. Also, you know, like everyone, wear many hats. I've emailed you guys, or some of you probably got it today, some of you didn't. Just with the time restraints, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get through all of my concerns with the calendar as proposed. We're 252 members. My husband is the Besa Township, he's the sole person that does the roads, and I believe that is our farthest route in our school district. So we have many reasons, just besides having kids, that we're concerned with the calendar and that we're supportive of the school district, for sure. So I realize that the Labor Day being late is challenging for you guys and for the whole district. However, as you mentioned, it was already kind of brought to the community about the late start. And I think it was actually after we had the late start for the building. I thought that's why it was brought up. And at that time, it was decided that we would leave the school start date as it was. I know the teachers were more in favor of it than parents seemed to be. But at that time, it was decided that it would stay in the late area. One of my concerns, or my main concern, is I still consider Cannon Falls to be a rural school district. I have a lot of rural values. My kids are involved in things such as 4-H. And moving this up would really be a problem for all 4-Hers, specifically those 6th grade and on. They spend most of their summer working with livestock, especially if there's other projects, but livestock. The fair would be the week before the teachers would be slated to go back. On this 2026-27 calendar, the teachers would come back August 18th. The fair would be, the Goodhue County Fair would be the week before. And all the kids work really hard to get their livestock ready for the fair, with the goal for most of the kids 6th grade and over to make it to the state fair. The state fair next year, the dates are August 27th through September 7th. So the kids would have to choose to either attend the first week of school or second week of school, or bring their animal to the fair, which seems like an unfair choice for kids that are working really hard. Not only does it show dedication in taking care of their animals, but there are quite financially nice scholarship opportunities for kids who do make it to the fair and who exhibit their animal well. So I just feel like it's not a good thing to ask, not only of the kids who are at the fair, but my kids, for example, they're not old enough to go to the state fair, but they like to go and support their friends and our family members, kids in our community that do get to the fair. I realize that's only one small part of the population here, but again, one of the reasons we chose Cannon Falls to raise our kids is because of those rural values, and I believe it's important to a lot of other people, not just my family. Another thing that I felt with the proposed calendar is that it was sort of being decided for me that June is more important than August. And I realize that's just a matter of opinion, but it seemed like, well, we don't wanna go into June, which it only seemed to be June 4th, which isn't that late. So we would rather just go into August instead. And I feel like, again, that's just one opinion over another, and I know from folks, a lot of people, you know, up north, cabin time is a big part of our state. And if you've ever swam in a lake Memorial Weekend versus the end of August, you might not agree that June is more important than August. Other things such as the state baseball tournament, June 11th through the 15th next year, softball tournament, June 2nd through 5th. There are many activities in the high school league still going on in June where I don't feel like, well, if school's out, everyone just can go on vacation, things are gone. I do feel like that end of August time is important for families, and there's a lot going on that we plan around. Obviously, again, no solution will leave everyone happy. I don't envy that, but you guys already talked about some of the things. I had some ideas. Spring break, we've always done an every other year spring break. Suddenly we're moving to an every year spring break. It's not important to me and my family to have a spring break. I didn't even know it was a thing until coming down here. I didn't think high schools did it. We used to do Easter break when I was a kid. I find it terribly expensive to travel during spring break. I quite honestly, my dad winters in Texas, but I do not want to bring my kids to South Padre Island during spring break because there are things there that elementary kids don't need to see. So I find it better to just sort of leave it to the families. For me, I have to plan vacations around my job. I'm a full-time nurse anesthetist at Mayo in Red Wing and Cannon Falls, so I have to plan around my job. We have a cow-calf pair operation. We have to plan around calving. I breed and raise rodeo performance horses. I plan it around foaling. So every year it's just different. It's never gonna match up with what the school tells me. I still think that if it's important enough for me, I'm gonna pull my kids from school and we'll vacation when it works for us personally. And that's between us and the teachers and how my kids are doing in school, obviously. Another thing is, I think that if we could adjust the calendar, it seems like there are some days where we could make it. I hear a lot of, we should go Labor Day to Memorial Day. I'm not sure about the graduation thing now. It sounds like that can be an issue, but hypothetically speaking, it seems like there are enough days in play where we could easily make that happen. Again, if we get rid of spring break, there's 5 days. We talked about the 8 days over. I had 173 student days on my count out of the 165, so there's 8 days in play. We could, again, not saying we have to get rid of all of these, but there's days in play. Martin Luther King Day, the Minnesota statute 128.42 does allow us to decide if we want to send students to school that day. We do have to have an hour of programming if we do, but again, these are opportunities to gain an additional student day and maybe drop some of those August days.
I'll just add that that's one thing that we were just kind of talking about, that it's tough that all those things are in second
Right.
semester, so you're continuing to drop
Yeah.
more days off and making it even more lopsided than what first semester is.
Yeah, and I do, as, I appreciate your email response to me that it is not just as simple as dropping and adding, and some of these breaks are nice by definition. I'm sure there's a reason, that's above my knowledge base, but I see the elementary school is at trimesters versus the semester/quarters, and it seems like the trimester dates really do end up well. If you push those back, they do end up on more of those natural breaks. So again, I don't know if that is an option or if that doesn't match up because of PSEO and other concerns. And again, these are just days we're taking off. I'm not saying we could add Friday and Monday of Easter. There's a lot of days, you know, to my math, I gained 10 plus 18 days of flexibility. So there, of course, could be some days, you know, you could leave Martin Luther King Day, just options out there. So, but I do really appreciate your time and all your dedication to our school and to the community. And so I thank you again for letting me talk tonight and bringing up my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the one thing I'll just say about the state fair is, we definitely recognize that, and then that would be fully excused. You know, I don't know exactly how many days they'd be gone for that, but I mean, you know, and I know it's tougher that it would be at the beginning of the school year, but it is similar to any other sports activities if they happen to make the state tournament or go on a trip of some sort where they miss a few days where it's fully excused. So that they would be fully excused, so.
Which is great, but I do know some
Yes.
of the kids are maybe more able to miss days than others too for multiple reasons, and they're trying to do, you know, they don't wanna miss days if they're playing football and things like that, and I appreciate that they're excused, but it's still a tough challenge, and the days are different based on species and what they're showing.
Yeah.
Thank you for acknowledging.
But no, it gets to be tough on multiple aspects, because at the same point when you're, if you talk about baseball playing into June, well, you look at all fall sports, I think, if I'm correct, they would be starting like August 16th? 17th next year. So I mean, they're always starting before school starts and stuff too, so it just seems like there's activities going on constantly all the time.
For sure. Right, yep, it's one of many. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 2, consideration to approve the 26-27 and 27-28 calendars as proposed. Or we have different options. So, any comments from anyone?
I guess I would like to bring it up again. I had brought it up in the beginning when we had brought this calendar up, about potentially sending out a quick little survey to ask parents, because I know we did it previously. And then we just kind of moved forward with having these 3 meeting options to give parents the opportunity to speak up. But it just kind of seems to be that the longer that this has kind of gone on, and as we've progressed through, the more emails and the comments and the questions and concerns from other folks about the calendar and wanting to have a say and an opinion like previously. So I guess I had a suggestion and a thought of potentially backburnering this to next month and seeing if we were able to do a quick little survey just to feel it out and have it just be a majority rule and just kind of go with that.
Hey, you and I can agree on something.
It happens sometimes.
No, I definitely agree with that thought. Jeff and I talked, we do feel that there's room on the timeline that we can still do this next month and get all the notifications in place in time, that if this does go through, if we were going to go this route, it's deciding what is on that survey. And talking to Tim, it sounds like that's relatively easy to put something together somewhat.
A survey?
Yes. Okay.
Quick little survey monkey.
Leverage our new
Yeah,
website.
or just a
It's a
Google
Google
form.
survey.
Yeah, it would be simple to do.
But then it would be deciding, what I would like is that we are deciding tonight on if we are going simply by majority, or if there's another percentage level in order to make a change. So, I think to make it pretty cut and dry, it is pretty simple just to go with majority.
Correct, correct.
And kind of remind me how these surveys take place. They go out to both, or all parents? How does that all work?
If we did a Google form and we sent it out through Infinite Campus, it would go out, we could send it out to all parent contacts, all student contacts. So both parents would have if we have an email address from both parents, they both have the opportunity to do this.
If there's a student that has step parents, or there's multiples, do you know if there could be potentially 4 compared to 2. I don't know, I'm probably getting way too technical.
I don't know the
Is
answer
there
to that.
primary contact and secondary contact?
Yeah, it would, I mean, if we send it out without doing some filtering, it would go to potentially all of the contacts who are listed as a guardian contact.
Okay.
So it could be 4.
Which that should be,
Everybody should have a say.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only instance where it wouldn't would be if we don't have an email address for both
Okay.
parents.
And can you make it so there's not a duplicate?
So somebody can't do it twice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
yep,
Would this be going out to the teachers and staff too?
could.
Or do we
I
have?
feel,
I
I feel like we
don't
know they're okay.
Feel like
with
we
it.
have
Okay.
strong support
Yeah.
from,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to with the staff because
Okay.
the,
The representatives did a pretty good job of
Okay, perfect.
keeping them updated. And this Courtney feels different.
Good. My opinion's not gonna change.
Yep, I agree with getting some community input on it, I think it's important, I think it's the right thing to do. I think it'd also be helpful to put on there how we got to this, right, so calendar committee, just so everyone's informed of the work to get here. And then what the drop dead date, and maybe we can talk about this too, is what is the actual date we need for a submission? Because it's an application, right, so we have to
It's
have
an
it-
application to the state.
Okay,
There's timelines in the contract that we have to have stuff done, and
Correct.
we'd be rubbing up against that pretty hard.
if we go into February?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not saying that we can't do that, but the, I believe the application is due April 15th, but I would send it
February
in the
2nd.
day after February,
Okay.
you know, the day after the February meeting.
Yep,
Because they take up to 45 days to approve that
okay.
Oh, geez.
application.
Yeah, I think it's important for the community
Well,
to
and
know
for
our
the families
timelines
to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
For planning purposes
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I'm all for a survey as long as we put some informative dates, prime examples that we talked through tonight would be helpful.
well, that's where I think we just give 2 options, because also you give more than 2, then you're gonna get some really
Correct.
conflicting numbers, so.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not talking about options, but options around, or how we got to these dates, right? Just an actual break.
Information behind it.
Search, yeah, just to give people a background of, these weren't just pulled out of thin air, for
Yeah.
lack of better terms.
I think if we go the survey route, you give 2 options, because if you give 3 options of starting after Labor Day, starting 1 week early, or starting 2 weeks early, your majority is gonna be maybe 34%,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
35%,
get
and then you're gonna have
30%.
66% of the people that are mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's never a good thing.
No, I think just 2 options.
I think you go with the post-Labor Day and the 2-week start.
Yeah.
For options, would be my recommendation.
Yep.
I agree.
And we keep a spring break, or what's would be the recommendation?
I guess I would recommend keeping it, one, because of the mental health of staff and students that was talked about a lot during that calendar committee.
Okay.
Of having some level of break in there, because there's, I still remember the calendar, it had been 3 years ago, when there wasn't a break from beginning of January through, and it was a late Easter that year, and people were chomping at each other, and
They were not
kids
well.
were, yeah, it wasn't good.
I think the other thing to remember about spring break is, we were trying to put that in a place in the calendar that would make sense for the groups that were taking spring
Right.
trips. So, with baseball doing a fairly regular trip to Florida, and softball starting a regular trip to Florida, and band and choir doing an every other year music trip, that spring break around that time, can fit those needs so that we don't have kids missing a full week of school.
And I understand the point too, that families are gonna take their kids whenever
They
it
want.
works
Yep.
for them
Yep.
also, but a lot of families don't get that opportunity to go anywhere. And so they're just here grinding, you know, and so that gives them a chance for a break as well.
I think we'd still need to take a look at that post-Labor Day calendar to do some tweaking.
We'd have
on
to tighten that up a
Yeah.
little bit, definitely.
Yeah, if that's how it goes through, to look at that graduation date, to see if there's anything you can do about that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So would administration, you want a few days to kind of tweak the last one before you send that?
Yeah, I mean, we could send it out for sure, I'm guessing by Thursday at the latest.
We could firm it up Thursday morning, maybe, or-
Yeah, we can firm it up Thursday morning during admin and send it out Thursday afternoon.
Did I remind you that I'm gone?
Oh, yeah.
At my principal's convention this week, so.
That's right. So maybe tomorrow we
Tomorrow
can put some.
it is.
Shoot. What do you got going on right now?
That's done.
And I'm assuming if we give a couple of weeks for parents to respond, then we have a,
Yeah,
then we have a,
whatever you wanna do as far as how long you want that over.
We'll have results by the next board meeting.
Yeah, yep.
so I'd say like we probably initially send the survey out and then probably at least one reminder email, something like that.
Sure.
And we can put a reminder on our new website, so it's easy for people to
Absolutely.
Yeah.
click into it.
Perfect.
Now, this is not going to be an open community-wide survey.
Right.
Parents.
It'll just be parents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, we're all looking like we're on the same page. I would look for someone to sum that up in a motion.
I will make a motion to send out a parent-only survey to decide the next couple calendar years for a two-way vote.
And decided by, and
Decided by the next
by a
board meeting.
majority,
By a majority vote,
by a
yes.
majority vote.
Yep,
And to table this item?
the end of table this item. Goodness, okay, yep. Yes.
Thank God you volunteered.
Yes.
You get the long-winded ones.
Yeah, did you write that all down?
I quit after 2 words.
Okay.
Yes, I got Lori back there. She's got it.
Scribble that in somewhere, perfect, great.
All
okay.
right, Jolyn on that for
Yes,
motion.
yep.
I'll second.
Jody of the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, consideration to approve the Limestone Fire and Security Building Future Scholarship, 4 awards of $500.
Yes, this is a new scholarship that we have from Limestone Fire and Security, a local company, and I would recommend approving these 4 awards of $500 for our seniors.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, generous community.
I'll look for a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve.
Jody on the
Second.
motion. Pete on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration to approve the fiscal year 26 revised budget. Josh, good news.
Yeah, well, in the right direction anyway. So we put together the initial fiscal 26 budget quite early as we're trying to plan for potential reductions going into the fiscal year, as well as since the operating requirement was going to be in place. Since then, numbers have tightened up a little bit. The what-if spreadsheet from the state of Minnesota, which is our revenue sort of estimator for the fiscal year, has had some updates. And now we're roughly halfway through this fiscal year, so we were able to tighten some things up. Obviously, the audit for 25 then too was complete. So there's some changes here. Where you see the top listing of numbers would be the revised budget by fund. The middle numbers are the initial budget summary by fund. This really kind of formed from about 75 pages of 17-digit code. It funnels into these main accounts. The main one that you guys are going to be concerned with is going to be the general fund, as that's the main day-to-day operating of the district. As the revised budget shows, we should come out to the positive about $175,000, assuming everything were to hit, and no big surprises through the end of the fiscal year, be June 30th. We essentially more or less had a balanced budget on the initial budget after doing the reductions coming into fiscal 26 and where the kind of estimations were for revenue. Now as it's kind of tightened up, and it will tighten up again as we will do the final revision in June. But we'll show that revenues over expenditures of about $176,000. To kind of put that into perspective, our unassigned fund balance coming into fiscal '26 is $675,000, which equals about 4.4%. You'll see later on we have some fund balance policy stuff to discuss. Ours would like to see 12 to 16%, as that would give us 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months of expenditures to cover if something catastrophic were to happen in the district where we weren't having revenue coming in. This 675 plus this amount will push us more towards roughly about a 6% if everything were to hit in the fiscal year. And again, there'll be some more discussion further in the board meeting tonight that could help benefit that out even a little bit more. So coming into the fiscal year, a lot of changes. Obviously, we made the reductions coming into fiscal '26, but we have things like the paid family medical leave that is in here, contract negotiations. We settled the teacher's contract after the initial budget was complete. Those numbers are now inside of this. We had added 2 new ADSIS positions for fiscal '26. They are funded through CEDRA or special ed funding. But you have to pay the first year in advance, so you have to cash flow that. That was put into the fiscal '26 budget. We were able to hire one of those spots, one we may still be looking at, but so to be able to reduce the expenditure in that, so that helps increase that variance in a positive direction for us in this revised budget. So again, it's as tight as it can be as of now. Things will obviously change. A cold snap can make a big difference in things in our world of planning as well. As long as it's not prolonged for very long, it won't have as big of an effect, but it can certainly do some damage to a budget district our size. But generally, and we've talked about this, 70 to 75% of what we do is all going to be salary and benefits, so it's directly tied to payroll personnel coming out of our district, or substitutes are paid through TOC and fees for services. So really, when we're playing with stuff, it really is the salary portion. If there are any questions, the other funds will go through pretty quickly, but if you have any questions on the general fund, I can certainly answer. When we get into food service, you see it's quite a big variance from the initial to the revised. Reason being in there, some equipment needs. This just shows what the revenues versus expenditures variance would be. While we are spending down about $16,000 in food service, there is a healthy fund balance that allows us to do so. So we're able to fulfill some needs or requirements in the food service department, a large part because of the way the revenue is coming in for food. The free lunch is now state supported. Prior to that, during COVID, the federally supported. It kind of helped quite a bit with the food service fund, which is really beneficial to the kids in the district and the district itself that are able to kind of support that program. Because generally when they have a deficit in food service, the general fund has to cover that difference. We're not allowed to operate the food service in deficit, so at the end of the fiscal year, if we have that, the general fund has to write off that difference. We've been very self-supportive for the last several years, so it's a good thing. So even though that's a negative, it's not cause for concern, as we do have a fund balance to support the purchases that are made in food service. Community ed, we had a really good thing happen during fiscal '25. You are allowed in statute to have a negative fund balance in community service, as long as there's a goal in place to help push that towards positive, or eventually the general fund has to also support that or clean it out. During fiscal '25, we were very fortunate in the number of students that are participating in either Buchanan Kids or the preschool programming, and the rates are being charged for that, and where we offset with salary, which obviously the largest expense. But we're able to push that fund balance in itself to a positive number. So this will actually increase that fund balance slightly, and we're not talking great numbers here, but at least it's positive, which is a very beneficial thing for the district and for that community service fund. In construction,
I'll just add that, but I also feel like that's good for everyone. That it's just, that we're just keeping it even. We're not making a huge amount on it, but we're not losing our butt on it too. And
Yeah.
I just think being right there, that's a good spot to be.
it is, and the reason why by statute you're allowed to do that in a deficit is largely the community service fund is supporting outside activities that are supporting the district and offering opportunities for community members. Obviously, the students will be the biggest number, but in community ed, you always have adult sort of options as well. And I think you want to be, you're exactly right on that, Clinton. You want to do something where you're breaking even, offering programming but not at a really a big cost to the community. You want to make sure that you're able to support them, but.
We're not here to make mucho bucks off of all of our community members.
Correct.
Everyone's already paying taxes, but if we can keep that rate kind of even with what the services are cost us, I think that's a win-win.
Yep, no, absolutely. There's a big change in the construction, and that is because we went out for bond to have a section of roof replaced, as well as some tennis court resurfacing. We did the initial budget, the thought was that it would be done prior to fiscal '26 starting. That didn't happen, and so you're just seeing the revenue from some of the interest as well as the expense going out to make those payments. So that's just right sizing that. There's no real hit to the district on that, other than to make sure we're recording it correctly. Debt service, those are set up to fulfill the needs of the district for essentially what we would call the mortgage payments on the debt. The levy is set to record or receive 105% of our need, assuming that there's going to be delinquent taxes. Generally in Goodhue County, we are successful at collecting taxes and will end up building an excess balance in debt service. Those funds by statute have to be given back to the taxpayer. They're not allowed to go into other funds, so when we do have a debt excess, that's allowed to have some relief on the burden on the tax, so we'll see a reduction there. So when you see expenses higher than revenue for debt service, that's because we had built up an excess in that fund, and that is totally fine. Trust and agency is essentially the scholarship, at least it had been until the last several years. Now we've had some large donations, whether it be Gemini for Innovation Lab, or now we're collecting pretty good advertising revenue for the scoreboard account. That stays in trust and agency, as that fund is allowed to carry over from year to year, so that those groups don't lose those funds kind of rolling into the general fund. They stay in trust and agency so that they can help support the scholarship funds or some scoreboard type issue, facility issues for activities, or innovation lab type activities. So you'll see, sometimes the expenditure revenues don't quite tie out in trust and agency, as those things fluctuate, but that just kind of balances out to where we're at there. The last one on this one is new, and it's a recommendation of audit. Because student activity is under board control, it shows up on our audit report. We generally don't put a budget in for student activity. They put money into their account. They can only spend what they have in their account. But it does report now in budget variances. So oftentimes we get to audit now, and you'll see a large variance in our budget. It's not really the case. It's just that we don't have something in for student activity. So we've added in student activity to the budget report, so you can see that. It just takes the fund balances for all the student activity accounts and puts it in as a revenue and expense. It puts it as a budget that'll all be spent. Probably not realistic, but at least there won't be the large variance at the end of the year in our budget. So hopefully help with the reporting and the audit. In the end, you see the total variance at $478,000. Most of it is made up in the construction account, and that is because we borrowed those funds and it's being paid out. But in general, it's a positive revised budget for the district. Again, starting to move the needle a little bit in the right direction for the unassigned fund balance. Still not at the maybe the gold standard for the audit, the 12 to 16%, but we have been at 2 to 3% for the longest time. So this will put us more in that 6, with some changes further on the agenda that could help that out as well.
Which
Any
is
questions?
awesome.
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure. So any questions I can certainly answer.
I think you did a great job, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no questions for Josh, I'll look for a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 revised budget.
I'll make a motion.
Bill on the motion.
I'll second.
Pete on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration to approve the recommendation from the facility committee to move forward with specifications and quotes for the stadium field improvements behind the middle school, high school, and the practice field improvements behind the elementary, including dirt work, irrigation, grass, sod, drinking water, and all aspects of the project, not to exceed $200,000 of the long-term facility maintenance funds. Stephen, you want to take that one, or you want me to take that one, or what do you want?
I'm sure you'll jump in. So we've kind of neglected this back stadium field for a long time. their fixes weren't really fixes, it's been just kind of dumping dirt on top of dirt. So we've kind of ended up with a nice crown back there, as to which nobody wants to play football on and nobody wants to play soccer on. But we have a beautiful facility back there with all the amenities, bathrooms, the stadium seats. So our idea is to get soccer, a good varsity playing field up here, and that possibly would save us if we ended up getting a timeout from John Birch Park with football as well. That's gonna be another thing that probably will come up in further meetings. So we're trying to get ahead of the game here by improving our facilities that have kind of got neglected for a while. But with doing that field comes, we're kicking them off their practice field now. So then we're gonna have to make sure that the elementary school, with what we have left of our campus, has a safe and playable practice field for our football program, as well as soccer. Soccer fields are already down there. Those will continue to be down there. We're just talking about adding some irrigation to the top part, the northwest part of the campus back there, where there are 2 goals back there right now. So we're talking about adding some goalposts so they can have an actual football field back there too. So our junior high levels could also play back there for games. So it's gonna be a good thing for the district, something that's needed to be done for a while. And I can't wait to just enjoy the beautiful facility that, you know, we don't really get to enjoy for varsity sports back here. So I think it'll be a good thing in the end, and I've been working on some quotes with different people on it, and I think we got some pretty good numbers on this to where we're getting a pretty good deal, and with some good work. So I'm excited about it, so I hope you guys, you know, think about that, how, you know, it's been neglected for, I mean, since I was here, probably since you were here, Clinton. You know, it's never been a great field back there, and then they added the great bleachers back there, and it still wasn't a great field. So looking to do it right and get soccer up here and give them something to be proud of. We kind of just shove them in the back of the elementary right now, and the girls soccer made a heck of a season last year by making it to that section final. So kudos to them, and you know, we're behind them. So
this is just kind of taking care of a few things at one time, because soccer has been getting neglected down there. Without having bleachers, press box, just nothing really for facilities. And so with looking at just putting bleachers and stuff down there, that's over $100-some thousand. And with us having this sitting right up here, this works out really nice, that if we can get this to a game field, and then we can change that down there all into a nice big practice area for both football and soccer, and plus, you know, potentially have some youth football games down there once in a while. But and this wouldn't just be, you know, 7th and 8th grade football would be playing their games up here too, as well as probably the 3rd through 6th on Saturdays. So so this would be a game field. And then what Stephen was alluding to is just, I believe it's coming up in 28 is when that state amateur
Correct.
baseball tournament comes up here, that we potentially just need to have a field ready as backup if needed for varsity football. So this is not moving varsity football up here, please, no one. We know how that can go. So, but it is having a game field ready here, and no LTFM dollars have been used for fiscal year 26, correct, yet? And so we have about $300,000 allowed every single year. And so with the numbers that we've been getting back for this project, we feel we can comfortably come in under that $200,000 mark. So that's kind of like, that's what the recommendation is from the facility committee. But what I would like to do is just have, every time there's long-term facility maintenance dollars, I like to have that explained to everyone so they know where this funding is coming from. If you could explain that, please, Josh.
Yep, so long-term facility maintenance funds is put in place by the state several years ago to help districts with the cost of deferred maintenance items. A lot of districts, because the way the districts are funded, we're maybe pushing off things for a very long time and not taking care of it in either buildings or facilities or kind of the internals that run the districts. We're falling apart, and now districts are finding themselves in seven-figure plus type dilemmas on how they fix things. So long-term facility maintenance funds are available through the state. We've got a lot tied up in a project that we did for some HVAC several years ago. But we do have about $330,000 that comes to the district annually for deferred maintenance type items, long-term facility maintenance, health and safety would be kind of covered in that arena as well. We have spent a little bit of it this year because things like, fire sprinklers type things are all covered in that sort of realm. But we do have a balance available that when we did the finance and facility committee meetings, about $200,000 could be put towards this. It's important to note that these are funds that can only be spent on deferred maintenance type items or health and safety type items. They're not general fund dollars, they're not unassigned dollars where the district has kind of discretion to use it how they want. They have to look towards items that would fit under these categories. Certainly that field is going to fall under something that is deferred maintenance, and some could argue maybe some health and safety at some points too. But there are funds that are allowed to that, they're just not general fund dollars that we're allowed to use at our discretion.
These were also funds that were used on the roof project as well, correct, that we got the bond?
Yeah, that was a little bit different. That was a little capital project bond.
Okay.
For that one, but certainly when we did, it'd be the UNESCO project would be the, I guess the term of it, but a large HVAC project that we did. You're not able to do an $11 million. I think $8 million actually of that was through health and safety, long-term facility maintenance project. We're not able to just get $8 million. So being able to use those LTF funds and able to structure the debt, which is another part of where we kind of look at the field house, trying all those things when our debt falls off. We'll do some great things for the district, I think, and give you some tax relief. But until we get to that point, we are a little bit limited in the amount of long-term facility plans or long-term facility dollars that we have. We have a running project list of things that are going on, things that are needed. We keep updating that list annually. But with the recent projects that we've done in the district, whether it be the roof sections, whether it be the CTE HVAC project, a lot of the district is in pretty good shape. There's a lot of day-to-day stuff, and Stephen can attest to the things that need to be taken care of and maintained. But big ticket items, knock on wood, we're doing a pretty good spot. So it does make available some funds for this year to designate towards this project.
And you are right, we are paying off those bonds for that roof section that we did through LTF.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, we combined.
Yeah. The capital bonds are paid
Yes.
off through
Yep.
LTF.
Does
Pay
the
attention.
maintenance on the bus garage also fall into that category as well?
Potentially could. I think we're looking at a different avenue for that.
Okay. I'm just curious if that was also something that falls under that umbrella.
Potentially.
Yeah, it's our property, so
Yeah,
it would be
yeah,
all encompassing.
yep. Well, I think it's awesome to utilize our own facilities that we have here. It's long overdue. For something to just be sitting there and not be getting used to its full potential, again, long overdue.
That's getting used out there right now, but it could be
Correct.
It could be better.
Correct.
What this is doing is that this is making that area down by the elementary now getting more utilized because adding irrigation to two more of those fields back there, those things are rock hard.
Yeah.
And so they're really, they really don't get much use unless we have a summer like last summer, which we don't have that often where it's like a rainforest. So this will really help out both the soccer and football programs. This is going to give football a lot more practice room, a lot less running around from drills to drills. Their space has been pretty minimal back here. So it's kind of nice getting them all together and stuff too. And football team's definitely in favor. Soccer sounds like they're gonna have this for a field now, so they're in favor. So makes a lot of sense.
How many different quotes were we looking at? How many different companies were?
I got like 3 out for the dirt work
Okay.
and everything right now, and irrigation, a couple different ones. So just kind of depends on how we keep rolling with this.
Yep.
If we start looking at potable water down at the elementary, obviously we'll get some more for that, but yeah.
This would start in the spring of this 26?
Yeah, I mean, practice fields would, you know, plan on starting as soon as that snow comes off there, we get that all ready and right, and,
Heck, yeah.
go with this after track season up here. That way that doesn't affect track season at all, so. Contractors were also all in the know of all that, like
Okay.
how pressing it was for them to be here right when we needed them here, so it was done in time for fall sports and,
Yep, so
yeah.
this field would be getting sodded, so that's why the goal would be for fall
off and
sports,
sod.
that they're ready to go.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's great.
If there's no more questions, I'd look for a motion to approve that.
I will make a motion.
Pete on the motion,
I'll second.
Jolyn on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Item 6, consideration to approve the changes to policy 714, fund balances. Or 714, whatever you want to say.
714.
All right.
Yes, this is a recommendation coming from the Finance Committee. Josh talked extensively about the revised budget, what our audit showed from December. And the history on this fund balance policy is when I first got here 7 years ago, the very first meeting I had with the board at that time is that we had a 2% undesignated balance, which is about 1 week's worth of savings. And our policy said that we were supposed to have, I think, 8 to 12% at that time. And I said, well, either we change the policy or we make cuts. And we've been cutting ever since until this past referendum passed. And trying to get that fund balance savings account unassigned up to that 8%. But at the time, the board changed it to a more manageable percentage, and I believe it's at 4 to 6 right now, and we're in that range currently. But as Josh stated, we'll probably be at that 6%, and I think it's time to look at changing this fund balance policy back to 8 to 12 after the years of cuts in money management that we've done to square things away, and obviously the operating levy will help that as well.
And you said 8% would be like a month's worth,
Yeah.
roughly, that ballpark?
Yeah.
So still,
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
still right there. but-
completely out of the
Yeah.
woods, but we're a lot better than what we have been.
Yeah.
And we can certainly work, you know, if we get up to 12% eventually, we can certainly talk about moving that percentage up again to make it more even healthier.
Do you know what the average is for most schools in the area, or what their objective is for most schools in the area?
It depends on the district and where they're at, and a lot of variables. Open enrollment can affect plus or minus those things.
Okay.
We've got districts as far as, as close as Kenyon that are SOD, which would be less than 2% obviously.
Mhm.
There's districts, the Apple Valley Rosemont district, which is probably about 25%. It just kind of
Yes.
depends on.
Must be rough.
It is, yeah.
So to achieve that, I was, what, 50% jump, is that, or 100% basically, would you, outside of financial discipline, which, you know, you've gone through with our district on this recently, what helps us get to that number, outside of passing referendum?
Yeah, so enrollment, districts
So-
is 100% enrollment based. We can't charge more or less for our product. It is the kids we serve, so attracting and maintaining enrollment is probably the biggest driver of that. Outside of that, it is financial management, and it is tough because 75% to more is people,
Mhm.
salary and benefits, and you get times, and that's a large part of why you probably got in the situation where you have to. You don't want to have to reduce staff if you don't have to, which makes for some difficult decisions when it gets down to it. I think that given the fiscal 25 audit, the potential to maybe push that a little bit more towards the positive after fiscal 26. You've got a discussion item coming up with TRACT, and with the operating referendum, we've got an opportunity to make sure that we're looking out for the best interest of the financial security of the district, and still giving what we need to the students and the staff in the district as well, so.
Okay, all right.
I think it's a beneficial thing to push that back up to 8 to 12, and then even review it again in a year or two if we're looking at a positive of that. it's policy, it kind of helps guide us along, but, and there certainly was a reason at the time why we had to reduce it down to 4 to 6, but I think it's time to push it back up.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the changes to policy 714 with the fund balances.
I'll make a motion.
Jody in the motion.
I'll second.
Jolene on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. That leads us right to our next one. Consideration to designate the first track payment to increase the unassigned general fund balance.
You wanna speak to this, or you want me to? I can give the history of it.
Sure.
As most of you know, Tract, we engaged with conversations with them, and ultimately Tract had agreed to give our district, because they are not in our taxing district per se, the same way they are with the Randolph School District. They agreed to give us $500,000 per year perpetual, plus an inflationary factor in there as well. The first payment for Tract is due to come in the March-April timeframe, and then it'll be June 1st every year after this first payment is there. And so, obviously, in keeping with the making sure that the district is financially healthy, we talked to the finance committee, and they agreed with our recommendation to deposit this first check into our checking account and put it basically into the unassigned fund, which is our savings account for the district, to help bolster that unassigned percentage as well. And so that's what we're asking the board to consider with that first payment that we're getting here. And that should bring the percentage up closer to 8%, you're thinking?
Yeah, you're coming in at 675 into this fiscal year. Hope you're putting, out of that 176,000 that's projected, not necessarily all be unassigned, but say it's $100,000, and you put this in, you're essentially doubling where we're at, so it should be net 8 to 9% unassigned. Again, assuming all the budget stuff holds true as we go through.
I think that sounds like a great thing.
Correct.
Very good thing. So, no one has any questions? We'll look for a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
Jolene on the motion,
I'll second.
Pete on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, consideration to approve the recommendation from the Finance Committee to add back a middle school, high school social studies position for 26-27.
So this position here, that the social studies is kind of it's gonna be a general catch-all, because with this, adding this position back and the way the scheduling works is that it allows us to cover required new classes from the state. It allows us to open up the innovation lab, again, to have supervision in there with a facilitator in there like we had previously. And is there something else I'm missing besides the required classes from the state?
That's the biggest thing, is the required, new requirements from the state for social
Right.
studies.
And then it allows us to fund, or at least open up that, the innovation lab to what it was prior to the last round of cuts. So we talked this through with the finance committee, and they agreed with the recommendation as well.
And these are new additional classes or requirements, or?
Yeah, so, was it 4 years ago? I think 4 years ago, the state added a bunch of requirements that could fall anywhere, but for us, social studies makes the most sense for them to happen. So, starting next year, all students who are sophomores or above have to take a personal finance course. So this year's sophomores are the first year of that. We didn't offer it to them this year because we've got some other transitioning things happening with social studies because of some changes that they made before that. In addition, we have to offer an ethnic studies course that we have not offered in the past. So at this point, we don't know whether that's gonna be a course that we actually have or not. That'll depend on student requests. But there's potential for 4 sections of social studies to come back next year.
Okay.
So this will allow us to cover that and cover Innovation Lab, like we've done in the past.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that Innovation Lab was packed with kids and they loved it.
Yep.
Yeah, to have that back open, it would be awesome.
No more questions, I'd look for a motion to approve the recommendation from the Finance Committee to add back middle school, high school social studies position for fiscal year 26-27.
I will make a motion.
Pete on the motion,
I'll second.
Jody on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, consideration to approve the recommendation from the Finance Committee to add either a Dean of Students or an Assistant Principal position for school year 26-27.
Finance Committee is busy.
Finance committee is busy. So, this year, as most of you know, we cut the assistant principal from last year coming into this year. And, I think both staff and obviously administration noticed that, for a lot of different reasons, because of the supervision of students, the supervision of staff, getting items completed, put a lot back on the principals, with the lack of the assistant principal there to help out. In talking this through at the finance committee, we had 2 routes that we gave them, either come back with a dean of students, which is an unlicensed principal basically, that can only, deal with attendance and some levels of discipline, but they cannot suspend kids. That's where the license piece comes in. The assistant principal can do everything that a principal can do, except for, obviously, it's an assistant versus the lead principal. The assistant principal would be a K through 12 assistant principal, and then our 2 principals would decide how to share that person, as would be the dean of students would be K through 12 as well. There's a couple, I think I pulled that list up. So here's a list of some key differences. A dean of students is a teacher on special assignment. There's 184 days per year for their assignment, so it matches the teacher contract. An assistant principal is a licensed administrator. AP can do more than a student with student discipline, and can observe and evaluate teachers as well. And their contract days are 212 days per assignment. Some of the duties of this person, whether it's gonna be a dean of students or an AP, is building discipline. And obviously, the dean of students can be limited as to how far they can deal with discipline, not only with students, but also with staff. District-wide bus discipline, manage targeted services. That would be only with an assistant principal, because the dean of students, unless we up their days from 184, obviously does not have any days in the summertime to deal with targeted services, which is like Bomber
Academy.
Bomber Academy. That person would serve as the district assessment coordinator, which is currently done by Mr. Strauss. And obviously, it would be the AP only, as there's not enough days in the dean of students unless we add that in there. They would help with supervision needs in both buildings, including recess, lunch, before and after school. Assistant principals with teacher observations, that was mentioned before as being AP only. I will say that Mr. Hodges is doing lunch supervision right now. Because
I'm
of
doing
scheduling.
lunch supervision, and I have 2 study halls.
Oh, you do have 2 study halls, that's
Two
right,
study
so.
halls.
Sounded like when I talked to you on the phone today, you were at lunch duty.
I was at 6th grade lunch duty, so it's a little loud.
They can be a district representative at IEP meetings. They could potentially be the district literacy lead, which is, depending on licensing currently. They are traditionally have been the district safety committee chair, the curriculum committee chair, and the MCCC coordinator, which is dealing the Minnesota Common Course catalog, which coordinates our current class offerings with the state, is the best way to describe that.
What is the big financial difference between the two?
Good question, I got that right here. So I had Josh put some numbers together, which took the average grid price of an assistant principal, and with the dean of students, he did the average teacher cost that we currently have, which is MA step 9. And so with 212 days for the assistant principal versus 184 days for the dean of students, you're looking at about a $42,000 difference in costing, which is total package costing. If we do decide to go the dean of students route, I would recommend either moving that 184 days up to 200 days or 212 days, which is gonna add roughly $20,000. And so really, in effect, it's about a $20,000. And obviously, you can get more done with the assistant principal, because of the licensing piece of it. If you want my opinion, if you do decide to go this dean of students route, I would recommend that you put it up to, like I said before, 200 or 212 days. But with the licensing difference, the bang for the buck, I think, is still coming with the assistant principal piece because there's so much flexibility with it.
Did you guys also have an opinion one way or another?
Well, I mean, the biggest help to us would be if it was an assistant principal, because one of the things that I think we're both seeing more and more is we have new staff. As older staff retire, newer staff come in, and just with staff, we've had more staff turnover, which means our observation schedules are a lot more, because non-tenured staff, we have to do 3 observations a year, and tenured staff is 1. So we're both seeing more and more observations, and being able to split that load up is very helpful, because again, I have 3 lunches that I supervise, and I've got 2 study halls this semester, which doesn't leave me very much time to get into classrooms to do what I really need to do, is observe and help teachers get better.
Aside from like lunch supervision or like a study hall, where do you find that you spend the vast majority of time? Do you spend the vast majority of both? Do you find you're doing a lot more in the discipline area, a lot more in the evaluation area, a lot more like?
It kind of depends. For me, it kind of depends. I don't want to speak for Stephen, but it depends on the time of year. Like there are times when I try to focus my observation time. So one of the big ones is in the fall, I have to get the first observation of non-tenured staff done before MEA break. So that usually is a couple of weeks at least to get all those done. The other 2 observations I have to do for non-tenured staff can fit in wherever, but I try to get them done by the end of February, depending on the things that happen. Yeah, I had one scheduled with a teacher on Friday, and obviously that one got postponed. I tell my staff kind of flippantly that as soon as I put your observation on my calendar, you know something's gonna come up, so just don't be upset if it doesn't happen. Discipline is an all year long thing.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends. This is the start of the heavy time usually for middle school, high school discipline is the weather gets colder and kids can't get outside, things start to boil up. So, so this is a busy time for that, but it's also a busy time for things like, we're doing high school registration. I'll start putting together a schedule, a master schedule, and scheduling students. That takes just time being able to sit down and do it. It's a really hard thing to do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. You just kind of need some uninterrupted time to get it done. The assistant principal really helps out with that because I can kind of say, hey, I need you to cover this so that I've got 3 hours to devote to something like that, so.
Yeah, going from, the availability piece is probably my biggest, point where you asked where the need is. The discipline is year-round, but there's, heavier times of the year, We went from 3 people on our contract down to 2, so it's 2 people doing the job, 3 people this year. And it's manageable, we're doing it, but we're missing things, you know, and we're also getting, as Jeff can attest to, we're getting more meetings just kind of thrown at us for different things, more trainings. And when we're gone at those, we don't, there's nobody else to do some of those things.
It's the availability for staff when they need them.
Yeah.
You know, that you get taken away from
Yeah.
student discipline, which somebody else could be handling.
Friday was one of my most productive days of the year by far. I had, and that's including 5 meetings I had virtually, that were either scheduled already or with people.
Yeah.
And because in between those, I actually had a chance to get stuff done. Whereas if I would have been on campus, those meetings may or may not have happened, depending on what happens during the day.
Yeah.
And there's no way in between the meetings I would have had a chance to get anything done, because stuff would have popped up. Or I would have said, hey, I've got 20 minutes. I want to go get in the classroom, or go pop my head in at lunch, or something like that. You know, those things, it's tough to do some of those things, like Mr. Hodges said, like getting into the classrooms, which we both want to do. It's just tough to do some of those things without another person, another body, the observations.
And we will be thrilled with whatever decision you make. So,
Another body.
And the teachers' union is supporting this as well, right?
We had heard that they had met, and I know Tyler Quinlan that was in here as a finance committee rep, and must have taken it back to their group, and it sounded like that they were in favor of it. I didn't get any official notification of it, but they saw the reason for meeting it.
I think for the behavior part of it, it's helping out administration, yeah.
So higher value on an AP across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I was trying to
$20
feel out, is like,
today.
where is there more of a need for an extra set of hands? Because clearly there's a little bit of a difference if the dean can't help with behavioral stuff, and if there's a little bit more of a need of help in that department between the two of you guys kind of thing, then obviously then that makes sense, right? I mean, that,
I think between not having limits on what they can do with student discipline and the teacher evaluation piece, because a dean of students is a teacher on special assignment, they're at an equal level.
Okay.
So we would never ask a dean to evaluate a teacher.
yeah.
As an assistant principal, they can. And I feel confident in my ability to evaluate staff, but I also feel a lot better when somebody else has eyes, and we can say, instead of me doing all 3 evaluations, I'm gonna do 2, you do 1, and then we talk about that. There is a lot of value in having somebody else be there, and I think Stephen and I have worked closely together when he was assistant principal, and I think we both see a lot of value and trust each other, and that is a huge piece too.
Does the AP give you benefit when you go to your trainings, right, or the seminars you guys are receiving?
Yeah, I mean, they're a licensed administrator, so
But they would be here.
everything that you
Yeah, they-
rely on me to do,
So they don't have to go
and as far as,
We want to send them.
you know, what my license serves an assistant principal holds that same thing,
Alright.
so there's some value there in
Yeah.
just.
So, for example, Tim said he's gonna be gone Wednesday through Friday at his high school principal's statewide
Mhm.
conference. And so, you know, Steven's covering
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got
both
double duty then.
buildings.
Yeah.
You
I'll be
know,
shocked if I don't get called
if-
up here at some point.
Hopefully it's warm.
If I'm in the building, I can, you know, help out with that, but sometimes I got meetings, you know,
Right.
with the cities of Rochester.
So that AP can step in and do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for,
Is there any other positions that either of you are seeing potentially needed for next year? In either building as we sit right now?
Well, between the 2 positions there, that will help a lot with my supervisory kind of deals. So, you know, one of the reasons why I'm covering 2 study halls is because I have 2 staff members that now have 5 preparations, so by contract, they get 2 prep periods. So it pulled them out of a supervisory role. And I don't have any extras to go into those now, so it came down to pretty much my study hall is in the atrium, and I kind of read them the riot act and say, I'm expecting you to behave yourselves and to be where you're supposed to be. I'm going to check on you about once a day, but there's gonna be a high level of expectation that you're doing what you need to do. This kind of eliminates that, and we get back to the point where we've got teachers that are doing the supervision.
Strauss?
No adding of anything, just, you know, a shifting of overall teachers based on small or large grade levels moving through.
Fourth graders move fourth grade
Yeah,
spot, moving up.
fourth
to
grade right now,
fifth.
we got 96 kids, so,
Yeah.
yeah. But in fifth grade already, there's 2 classes with 30 students in. If we didn't add a fourth one, if we didn't shift to add one to fifth grade, it would be 32 students in each class. It's not good. So no adding though, actually, just shifting.
Oh, we're gonna hope that we have to.
Oh yeah, I would love if we come back to you in May and say, hey, we got 20 more kids have been added into whatever grade or overall.
That would be awesome.
All right. So I will look for a motion for either adding a dean of students or an assistant principal.
I would make a motion to add an assistant principal.
I'll second.
Pete on the motion to add an assistant principal for school year 26-27. Jolynn on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. All right, informational items. We'll go around the horn. Stephen, you'll start to figure out that I start from my right and I go to the left. You got anything to add?
Jody doesn't count?
We come back to the board
I
last,
mean, I did
sorry.
go to school here, but, okay. I mean, just as far as stuff going on around here, I mean, we're really busy in the winter here, so, my staff's been doing great. We're really young and green, but I think we're in the right direction here to, you know, keep going forward with what we've been doing, and, this winter sucks though. I'd be happy with some warmer weather. That is a big toll on me and Bruce, and I mean, just anybody in general here in the school right now, teachers, administrators.
This is supposed to be about good news, right?
Yeah, sorry. The good news is, we haven't had any slips and falls, you know, to my knowledge lately.
None reported?
Been reported.
Perfect, great.
Because of the conditions outside. But, on that note, I'd like to brag about my little Mad Rats a little bit. We traveled up to the Brawl, this last weekend. It's the biggest youth wrestling event in the world. And we got in the up-and-comers bracket this year, and we got 6 out of 16 teams, so I'm pretty proud of that. And you know,
Well.
that's also something that I feel like can, you know, bring kids into this district if we have
Absolutely.
great youth involved sports like that. Families move here for that, so I love it, and hope the community loves that I'm a part of it. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Tim?
I kind of missed the whole bit about around the horn, so what's this about?
I just started it last meeting.
Yeah,
so-
I wasn't here for that.
So, now you're here.
All right, so just good news kind of thing?
Yes.
Well, or just anything that's
whatever.
on your mind, I guess.
As
As long as it's not too negative.
Easy, yeah.
I'm all about positivity. Everyone knows that. That knows me.
Won't be negative. I want to give a big shout out to Ryan Buck, who's our new social studies teacher. She is doing a great job. She's, you know, I think kids really like that kind of new vibe that she gives off, and she's working really well with our staff. So, and she stepped into a tough situation to come in with a couple of preps just right before the beginning of the semester. She's doing an awesome job. Want to give a shout out just in general to my staff about being really supportive and really helpful through some of these transition times. They've really stepped up. They've been really understanding, and I think they're doing a really good job for this time of year. So that in general. Steven's staff is awesome. I really, you know, Dylan is awesome. Mercedes and Isaac and the night,
Gavin
on the night
shift.
shift, Gavin,
Yep.
during the day shift. Gavin is a student, and I like treating him like an employee when he switches in the morning to being a custodian, and he's a great kid, so he's doing a wonderful job, so I really appreciate what they're all doing.
Awesome.
Thank you. Mr. Strauss? Anything?
Kind of echoing to it, Tim said, then I'll get into depth with one more. Shout out to just the custodial staff in general, they're awesome. The sidewalks are cleared in the morning, they're iced, they're ready to go if we say we need something, they're there.
And we don't have elevated concrete to trip over either, too, right?
That's worked out well.
Pretty good.
And then, you know, from last year to this year, tons of changes at the elementary. And then throughout this year too, changes in both buildings, and now specifically in the elementary. I gave a shout out to all my staff during my last staff meeting because of those changes. Anybody that's been a mentor to new staff, any new staff, any long-term subs, any student teachers, which between those, you know, different categories, that covers pretty much everybody down there. They've done a great job. Everybody that's new is incorporating well. It's just been going well. And then the one bigger one that I wanted to mention was there's just been a couple of meetings that I've been involved in recently down there that I want to highlight. Regards to, I guess it doesn't matter the specifics, but within the meeting, anybody that would have been a part of the meeting would have been very impressed to hear the conversations that the staff was going through. There wasn't always agreement. They handled it well. It was, you know, you want to see something happen, but you're looking at the data and what's good and what's bad with it and what the data shows. And they were just some very productive meetings. And I think everybody learned a lot from them. And I think that in general, you know, at the end of it, everybody came to a common consensus and went the right way to do what's best for students. And they were just, like I said, if any of you would have been in those meetings, I think you'd have been very impressed with the conversation that the staff had. So just a shout out to all the time and effort that the staff put into preparing for those meetings and then coming into them with their ideas, their biases, but also data and what's working, what's not working, what's best for kids, what's showing up on these tests, what's showing up on the behavior analysis, what's showing up in discipline referrals, what's showing up with our curriculum, all that stuff. So just a lot of really good conversations around education.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Josh?
I think you got to hear a lot of the good news that this is throughout the night for me. That, you know, not obviously, you know, 100% awesome, but moving in the right direction. I think it's a good thing for the district and the financial security of the district is heading in the right direction. So I think that's awesome news for the district. One of my other hats, I drove bus on Saturday. It was cold.
Oh.
But the other one, the main one would be basketball, and the boys are playing fantastic. They're 13-3. Outside of the outcome for the final, we played a great game on Saturday. It was a fun one to
was an
watch.
exciting
Not so
game.
much to coach, but fun one to watch. At the time, Zambroda was 7 in the state. We were 8. 98 in overtime. Got another big week. We've got number 1 Goodhue coming in tomorrow. Stewartville on Thursday. It's usually been top 10 in 3A. And then alumni weekend this weekend, but basketball should be pretty busy, and we'll host Randolph on Saturday night. So hopefully we can fill the gym all 3 nights, and hopefully we can go with 3 wins would be the cap around if we could do it. So.
All right,
Awesome.
thank you. Lori, you got anything you want to add?
I had a great week with you guys last week.
Goodness.
That was good news.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll come to Jody.
I was just gonna mention too, alumni weekend's exciting with volleyball and basketball. And then the Hall of Fame is on Saturday too, so looking forward to that.
All right. Pete?
We had that book, I was had a question around the book vending machines, more of a check-in, is that going pretty well down at the, yeah, I know that was well received last year.
Yep, it goes well. Students that win the weekly Real Deal Award, there's one for each grade level, pre-K through 5. They each get a token that they can use up on that. And then each classroom teacher gets 2 tokens that they can use within their class, kind of at their discretion. And it's great seeing the kids' eyes light up kind of when they realize, when they get the token, what it's for.
Cool.
You know, that they get to, hey, that machine that's, you know, you see the books in, you know. And some of them have gotten one before, some of them have seen somebody get it, but it's a good idea, yeah.
Okay, very good, thanks. Yeah, and then the big PTO event at the elementary school is on 6th, next
Mhm.
Friday, so.
All right,
Should be a
spin
good
off
time.
on that, do you guys have enough books to keep?
I would have to check with Maggie on
Okay.
that. Maggie's the one that kind of does the monitoring of
Okay.
everything that's within there. I can check with her. She's enjoying Florida weather right now.
Good for
I'll get
her.
back to you on that.
Jolyn?
I would like to give a shout out to the Cannon Kids staff and the elementary school office staff because my kids like to sign up for every activity under the sun, which sometimes they're after-school activities. And I may or may not, maybe forget to let Cannon Kids know that my child is not going to be there. They're walking to their activity. So it is a very, very quick and efficient phone call of, where is this child? Let's help this, find this child. They are very efficient, and good at that and keeping track of all of our kids, no matter what. So I am very appreciative of them.
All right, Jeff.
Josh stole a little of my thunder about some really good meetings happening recently with the Facility and Finance Committee, and it's a lot. It's amazing how different conversations are being had now as opposed to the last 5 to 7 years that we've had in those committee meetings, and that's nice to see. I think I mentioned that to you today on the phone, that, you know, here we are, our biggest concern is, you know, which way do we go on this calendar for the next couple of years? And they said, you know, it's, you know, quite the changing conversation that we've had.
That would have been about number 15 on the list last year,
Right.
maybe, not 20.
You know, if that's our biggest concern, I think we'll be okay.
All right, I was gonna talk about alumni too, I guess I still can, if you wanna come see me play, I should probably put about 5 minutes in. Thank goodness, our next meeting isn't until the end of February, so I should be healed up and look somewhat normal by then.
We're gonna live stream the game?
Yeah.
Why not?
Go
Your
Facebook
shorts.
Live.
What's that?
Are you gonna play in shorts?
Oh, well, yeah.
Just wanna know if
I gotta wear something.
Yeah, I need to bring sunglasses.
I said a shirt, that there's like shirts versus.
Then I'm like,
We'll charge up the AED.
Should I make a memo
That's
for Orso
what I
Paul
said.
next week?
Yes.
Open some space.
That's the problem, as you get older, your mind still thinks that you can do it, but your body just can't.
A lot of ibuprofen and ice packs goes out. Those,
But no, it's a real fun day, not just only alumni, but you add in the Hall of Fame and then cap it off with basketball. It's both JV and
C squad, JV, and
C
varsity.
is 2, and that's against Randolph, correct? So that even just kinda adds to it a little bit.
busy
More.
weekend.
So, no, real fun day and fun weekend for our town, so. All right, I think we spent enough time today. So I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Pete on the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
We're out of bodies here to make motions.
Joe in on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, everyone.